Now, despite the current economic climate, the number of liquidations of businesses has actually decreased since May 2015. According to Stats SA data, liquidations has decreased by 1.1% to 177 compared to May in the previous year. Well, we could read a lot into it, but it could be the result of business rescue that is becoming more available to businesses in financial distress. Justine Hoppé, a Senior Legal Counsel for Mazar, joins us in our Sea Point studio this morning to tell us a little bit more about this decreased number. Justine, good to have you on the program. Windy, dreary Cape Town I see behind you over there.
Morning, Leanne. Very cold and windy down here.
Yeah, don't worry,
yes,
we the same.
The stats... the stats that's recently released does seem to indicate that there's a decrease in liquidations, and the common assumption is that that is directly linked to business rescue, which is a fairly new process. But I think that in the current climate, it's probably a combination of factors that's leading to that decrease in liquidations. I think there's a decreased appetite for litigation, which is costly and time consuming. I think that there's a lot of informal restructuring happening in the market. And then, of course, there is business rescue itself, which is still perceived as being quicker and more cost efficient.
Yeah. All right. I mean, so these are some of the reasons given. Is it also perhaps attributed to the fact that maybe less businesses are actually opening at this time, where people are just kind of being a little bit more cautious?
I think that's definitely the case. I think the appetite for new business and expansion is obviously under quite a lot of pressure at the moment. And I think that a lot of people who are in the market are probably just hanging in there for now. Things are tough and it's not looking like it's going to change anytime soon. But certainly for now, if you can hang in there, people are, and where they can, they're approaching their creditors sooner rather than later to try and make an alternative plan.
Yeah, which is good news. I mean, that at the end of the day is nice to see that South Africans are leading in this direction.
Absolutely, and I do think that there's something to be said for that better communication. It's certainly, I think, some of the lessons we learned out of the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008. And I think that as a result, a lot of the big lenders are also being more open to that informal structure with their clients. And then business rescue is definitely playing a big role. You know, I think it's a new process which allows businesses to effectively restructure before they hit the proverbial wall and things are so dire that there's no other option but to liquidate.
Okay, let's just talk about business rescue. When does a business get to a position that it's viable to go into business rescue?
It's a little bit of a debate as to when exactly one starts the process, but I think everybody agrees sooner rather than later. If you leave it to a point where there's no option and you're in a state of such distress that you have no liquidity and no ongoing trust relationships with your creditors, it's probably unlikely to work. If you make that assessment at a point where you're facing some pressure but are not so far gone, chances are that there is better prospects for it working. You also need a business to rescue, and I think that's the thing that people often forget. One has to be able to actually somehow come out of it on the other end, either by selling the business or otherwise resurrecting the business as it currently stands, but in a new, less distressed format.
Yeah. When you go in for business rescue, I mean, does it almost get to a point as well where somebody comes into your business, has a look at it and says, yes, there is still hope for this business, or look, as it stands right now, I don't think there is a future. Even if we do sort of offer funding or business rescue in any way, this business does not have a future, and these are the reasons why, and this is the route to take.
Absolutely, and in fact, that's the international trend. It's what is colloquially referred to as prepacking. So we're seeing more of that in South Africa. Obviously, the market's very young here. We're only a couple of years in, but we are seeing more and more pre-assessments happening where professionals can come in, sit with management, take a look at the financial position that the company finds itself in, what kind of availability or access they've got to liquidity, and help management make a decision as to the correct way forward. And it's a very encouraging and positive sign.
Okay. If we have to get in touch with an organization like yourself, I mean, what do we do? I mean, how do you go about it? And obviously, I mean, it takes money as well to bring an organization to come in and have a look at the state of our business.
I think it's probably prudent to get in touch with a company such as Mazar's. We have a specialized business rescue division. And yes, it does take money, but often a lot of the professionals are happy to have an initial consultation, happy to talk to management at a fairly high level, but get a sense of where things sit and are usually happy to guide management as to some of the options available. You know, in some circumstances, unfortunately, there's no option but to liquidate. In other instances, you've got choices. But either way, I still firmly believe that knowledge is power, and the quicker management is able to see the signs and spot the weaknesses, and the sooner they speak to people, including their financiers and their creditors, the greater the prospect of making something good of it.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it really is. But now, just very quickly looking forward, you know, we've gotten warning that growth is going to be almost zero in the South African economy, and things are not going to turn around in the near future. So, I mean, do we expect the very much same scenario going forward, and perhaps, you know, more businesses going into liquidation, or will it stay the same?
I expect that going forward, things are going to probably get tougher before they get better. As a result, I think we are going to start seeing an increase in the numbers of liquidations and business rescue. Everyone that we've been speaking to in the market seems to indicate that we're currently in that calm before the storm. As I said, if people can hang in there, they currently are. If we see another rate hike and if growth continues to be near zero, as you say, I suspect that things are going to get pretty tough in the marketplace.
All right. Well, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for talking to us about this. Justine Hoppé is a Senior Legal Counsel with Mazar, talking to us basically about these liquidations. It's decreased by 1.1% to 177 compared to May in the previous year. But this can be attributed to a lot of things. And unfortunately, the calm before the storm is what we are looking at right now. So thank you so much again, Justine. All right.